It's been a weekend of firsts for Turkey and the country's first ever presidential runoff. The incumbent, Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, became the first leader to ever secure a third term in power. Erdoğan won 52% of the vote after facing the biggest challenge to his 20-year rule. His rival, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, didn't dispute the outcome, but called the election unfair, an assessment backed by international election observers. Erdoğan's challenger had promised to restore democratic norms before veering to an anti-migrant platform in the final days of campaigning. But the U-turn failed to win him enough support to defeat Erdoğan. DW's special correspondent Aya Ibrahim has more.
Recep Tayyip Erdoğan's electoral victory is still sinking in. Here in Istanbul, where the majority of residents voted for his opponent Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, disappointment is in the air.
Honestly, I'm very sad about the election results. Turkey has lost. I don't think people really understand how bad the results are. I'm very sorry.
I don't think this was, from the very beginning, a democratic process. It was not fair because Erdoğan controls the majority of the media.
Erdoğan should be the president of all 85 million. Instead, he's acting like the president of the 50%.
Both candidates ran fierce campaigns with two very different visions for Turkey. The result of the vote, with about 4% difference, shows that this country is polarized, split on things like the Kurdish question, migration, how to run the economy, and rights issues. As ballots were still being counted, President Erdoğan addressed his supporters in Istanbul. He thanked them and focused on unity, but some of his other statements showed no sign of reaching out to the other side.
Does the opposition CHP love the LGBT? Can they infiltrate the AKP? Family is sacred to us.
His victory speech in the capital Ankara addressed imprisoned Kurdish leader Selahattin Demirtas.
In Turkey, where justice, rights and the rule of law reign, you cannot get a person out of prison who has caused the death of 51 of our Kurdish brothers. Especially under our government, that is out of the question.
Erdoğan also faces a number of other challenges, like a crumbling economy and rebuilding devastated areas hit by earthquakes earlier this year. But his supporters aren't thinking about that right now.
We believe and trust in our president. We are sure he's going to fix all economic problems and rent.
We are very happy. We were expecting these results. Turkey has made its choice. I think it's the right choice.
For me, it's a good choice. It may not be good for some, but for us, it's good.
Syrian refugees in Turkey will undoubtedly be breathing a sigh of relief. Throughout the campaign, Kılıçdaroğlu vowed to deport them from the country. President Erdoğan said he also wanted refugees to go, but voluntarily. As the Turkish Republic enters its second century, it faces a lot of open questions. For now, they will be answered by the man who has ruled it longest.
For a closer look, I can now welcome Can Dündar. He's a Turkish journalist. He was the editor-in-chief of the center-left newspaper Cumhuriyet until 2016, when he fled political persecution in Turkey. He has since been living in exile here in Germany. Mr. Dündar, welcome to the day. How do you feel about the result?
Very sad and disappointing, really. I mean, it's a disaster for Turkish democracy, and unfortunately, I feel like losing the country.
The polls were wrong. Erdoğan did much better than expected. Were you surprised by the results?
No, to be honest, I was expecting this because it's a race against the whole party state, So Erdoğan has been using the whole state machinery, including media and judicial system. So how can you beat the whole state mechanism with the people's power? It was really tough. And even so, we got something close to the 50%.
Yeah, it's what Mr. Kılıçdaroğlu has been denouncing, right? That these elections might have been free, but they were by no means fair because Erdoğan, for example, controls 90% of Turkish media. Is that really what made the difference, or was Erdoğan the stronger candidate? Does he have a stronger pull on people as a politician than Kılıçdaroğlu had?
He destroyed the Turkish economy, and he's been in power for 21 years now. And knowing that the economy is his weakest point, he used people's fears. Like Turkey would be divided, the gay community will be running the country, and the family will be divided, the families will be divided, etc. So with those fears, really, he succeeded to get the backing of the people, and he prevents the opposition talking about the economy. So it was a clever move, and unfortunately it worked very well.
Yeah, it did work out for him, but still close to 50% of Turkish voters did go with the opposition. What does that polarization in Turkish society mean for the way forward?
You saw how people were resistant and how they really struggled for Turkish democracy. And this is the hopeful point of it. So we are facing with a half full glass. So if you can see the full part, yeah, this country is not a Belarus or Iran, and people really fighting for democracy, and they are so close. They were so close to the victory, and I guess in the coming years, the hope is still there, and Turkish democracy can live, even though Erdoğan will be more aggressive in the coming years.
What will it take for the democratic forces in Turkey to build on that momentum, to build on what we just saw in these elections?
What we saw is a huge solidarity among the very different parts of the political arena, from nationalists to social democrats, from the queer movement to the Kurds, from soft Islamists to the nationalists. So what were binding them was the anti-Erdoğan feelings and trying to save the country from a kind of a religious government. And I guess if they can keep this solidarity in the coming months and years, I guess they still have a chance in the local elections, at least in the coming year.
With Erdoğan now presumably emboldened by this third term that he's just been handled, he is likely to grow more and more authoritarian. What do you think the next 5 years will look like in Turkey?
I don't think that it would go for another 5 years. I mean, first the economy, then his health is not how can I say? Yeah, it won't be so long, I guess. Turkey is a country full of surprises. You never know. I mean, I don't think that it would take 5 years. But what is important is the solidarity from the Western countries. We saw the congratulation messages from the Western governments to an autocrat. And I guess I can understand the interest of the Western governments, but I know that the people here backing the resistance of Turkish people, and I hope this backing would go on till we can get our democracy back.
What does it mean for you personally and your prospects of returning home that he's now been handed another term in office?
Yeah, difficult. I was packing my baggage the day before, and I was hoping to go back to country as a free citizen. But now, of course, you listen to Erdoğan. I mean, he was ordering the judges for someone to keep one of the opposition leaders in jail. So we are talking about a country who the president can order the judges and the people shouting for execution of him. So, of course, it will take some more years for me to stay in exile.
Turkish journalist Can Dündar, all the best to you. Many thanks. Thank you so much for taking the time tonight.